welcome back to another What Gear video, and today it's the world's first kind of camera compare and contrast video. And today I'm going to be comparing the cameras on three formidable phones. They are the Xperia X, which is filming right now, also the Huawei P9, which is a flagship from Huawei right now, and HTC's flagship, which has the ultra pixel technology. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these three cameras compare. I'm going to switch now to the Huawei P9 and see how that looks on video, front facing. Right, so this is the Huawei P9, and I have to say there's a big difference in screen quality and the way that the pictures look on the screen. When I get these onto the computer, they might look completely different. But what's really interesting about the P9 is the rear cameras. It's got the dual lens setup. If you haven't seen my unboxing video and top 5 feature video, check that out. The front facing camera is also pretty good as well. How does it compare to the Xperia X? You guys let me know. I'm going to switch now to the last phone, the HTC 10, and check out the front facing video functionality on that phone, and I'm going to move on into the field for some more field tests. Right, so last up is the HTC 10. Now this has the ultra pixel technology. I'm not sure if they're using that on the front facing cameras also. I'm going to look into that on the specifications, but this is all three front facing video camera pictures. So let me know, leave a comment in the description below. Let me know which dog's whinging because she wants to move. Let me know which one you think is the best. I'm going to move on now, test out some of the camera functionality. Yeah, let's go. So I came across a tree and I took this opportunity to test out how quickly these cameras can focus on a small object, and in this case it's a drop of resin dripping down the side of the tree. The Xperia X found it a little bit difficult focusing close up. Let's see how the Huawei does. Again, it found it a little bit difficult. Once I moved it back and forward a couple of times, it did focus in the end. And now the HTC. So I really wasn't prepared for this. The HTC not only looks a lot smoother when I moved it in close, but it does seem to be focusing faster also. Alright, so here's a little test of the stability on the rear facing cameras. I'm just walking, holding this in my right hand. I'm just going to look up this path, look around a little bit. You guys should get a good idea of the stability of this rear facing camera in video. It looks pretty good on screen, I have to say. I'm going to switch to the P9 now and see how that compares. And it's quite clear to see that the Huawei P9 really struggles with stabilization, with this video looking much more unstable in comparison to the Xperia X. However, it is picking up great detail in the trees in the sky and the shrubbery on the ground. And now the HTC 10. Once again, the stabilization really is a standout feature for the HTC. It also picks up fantastic detail, but that smoothness of motion is just fantastic. So you probably noticed it's pretty green out here, and that's because I'm actually on the outskirts of London, and they actually call it the green belt because it goes all the way around the outside of London. I think it's sort of protected land. But let's not forget, this is London, and I actually spotted just down there a burnt out car, so I'm going to go down there and take some photos of it. And I thought this was a great time to test out the front facing cameras and take some selfies. And in this picture you can really see the detail and the fine lines of accuracy in my forehead, and also in the rest of the picture too. And take note of the colour of the sky in this picture also. And as you notice here on the HTC 10, it looks like the sky has a lot more blue in it. You can actually pick out more of the clouds. There seems to be a bit more orange on the ground as well in comparison to Huawei's camera. And now we move on to the Xperia X, and you can see there's a lot of blue in the sky. You can see the clouds really well. The ground colour looks fantastic, and the wrinkles in my forehead are really clear to see. But however, I still think the Xperia has taken the best selfie. So anyway, it was time to move on closer to the burnt out car to take some photos. So here we have a beautiful picture taken on Huawei's P9 with the Leica lens with the dual camera setup. And what you can see here is a really good amount of detail in the foreground, especially on the ground, on the car, but in the background in the sky you can't really see any blue. It just kind of looks grey. and the trees kind of have a bit of detail, but I feel like it's lacking just a bit, especially when you compare it to the next photo shot on the HTC 10 using its ultra pixel technology. Despite being a lower megapixel, look at the sky. You can actually see blue up there, you can see the clouds. In the foreground it's a bit darker than the other picture, but I feel like it's not lacking any detail. I have to say I am impressed with this camera. Now let's move on to the last camera, the Xperia X. And it's important that you guys understand that this is a 23 megapixel sensor, and I've actually had to shrink this photo down even more than the other two to fit it on the video. And what you can see here is good foreground detail, good detail on the sky as well. The orange on the car seems really deep in comparison to the others, but I have to say the trees on the right hand side look a little bit blurry, but I do think the Xperia X wins this test. And here we have another shot taken on the P9, and you can see here great detail once again, a very bright picture. You're not really missing any detail here, and that might be something to do with the second monochrome lens that adds that extra detail. And pay particular attention to the wheel arch, it's very dark under there. And here we have the HTC 10, and it's really bright under that wheel arch. It's actually absorbing a lot more light from those dark areas. It's definitely a brighter picture, and that might be something to do with the ultra pixel technology. Once again, I'm really impressed. And on to the Xperia X with the Exmor sensor. Not that much detail in the darkness, but the colors are very bright. The detail is fantastic, and once again I have had to compress this down a bit more than the other two. So this is in fact a larger picture, and I want to know what you guys think. Is it better to have that detail in those dark areas, or is it better to have more color and more picture? Leave a comment. Right, so a good test for these rear facing cameras is how do they handle sort of locking on to moving objects. So I'm going to pick up this stick here, I'm going to throw it for the dog. Let's see if we can focus on her while she's running. Ah! Look what you've done to my trousers! Why did you do that? You're going to get the stick. Okay. Right, here we go. You ready? You're going to get the stick? You're going to get it? Sit first. Sit. Tell him. Get it going. Alright, take two, Xperia X. Almost ready. Hold it. Sit first. You're going to get it, Kaya. You're going to get it. Good. Get it going. Last up, it is the HTC 10, and the dog's raring to go. You ready? Sit first. I didn't say tell him. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. Get it, Kai. After that, I came to an opening and I managed to spot a budgie in the middle of the woods, which is really weird for London. And I took a photo of it on all three phones, and I've actually used the zoom post edit to see which one's picked up more detail from a long distance. So here we can see the Xperia X has taken a pretty good photo here. It doesn't look out of focus at all, and the colours on his feathers really stand out. And here we have the photo taken on the Huawei P9. I have to say it seems to have picked out a lot more detail than the Xperia. The colours in the darkness seem to be stronger, and you can see more of the bird's feathers. And here we have the HTC 10, which has taken a great photo also, but the bird looks very smooth. There doesn't seem to be much detail in his feathers from a long range. And here we have a picture of the sun peeking around a cloud, and you can see here that there's a lot of darkness in the trees. The cloud shows a lot of detail, but when we compare that to the HTC 10, there is a lot of detail in the tree. The clouds also show a lot of detail and an all-round brighter picture. And with the Xperia X, we have a really deep blue sky, dark green trees, which seem to be detailed, but it really seems that Sony's strength is picking up on colours. Right, so that's it for this camera comparison, compare and contrast video from What Gear Reviews. And let me know which camera you think is the best, front and back. And bear in mind that I haven't adjusted the settings on any of these phones except for the Sony. I had to switch it from 8 megapixels to 23 because for some reason they set it to 8 megapixels as standard. But I haven't added any filters or after effects to any of these videos or photos. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and you will be one of the finest subscribers known to man. And I really appreciate your support. So last thing to do now is just flip these cameras around for one last photo. I can see the burnt out car over there in the distance. Let's see if you can pick it out of the photos. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't be late.